So the Indiana Fever have signed guard Aari McDonald to an emergency hardship contract. So this is not very surprising to me. In my last video, we talked about the potential guards because there's definitely a gap in the backcourt for the Indiana Fever with Sophie Cunningham going down, with Sydney Colson going down, and with Caitlin Clark already being out. I know a lot of people wanted to bring Grace Berger back. A lot of people actually wanted to bring Kennedy Carter over from Mexico, which wasn't going to happen because she signed over in Mexico. A lot of people were vying for Serena Sundell, and then there was also Aari McDonald. And the reason I was saying Aari McDonald is because I did watch her last season with the Los Angeles Sparks, where she did average 8.7 points a game. She also averaged 3.7 assists and 1.8 turnovers. So her assist to turnover ratio is decent. And she did all of that averaging 21 minutes a game. And because last season she was out for part of the season with an ankle injury, but she, to me, was the best option because she does have some experience like facilitating, and as like much as I think it would be really great to get a lot of like young, fast like talent into the Indiana Fever, I also think that right now for the current needs, having the playmaking ability and having and kind of like wherewithal in the WNBA with that experience is pretty valuable. So if we do just look at her stats, she played 26 games last season because again, she was out with the ankle injury for a lot of games. Her field goal percentage was 40%, and at the 2 she was 48%, and at the 3 she was 31.9%. So these are pretty decent numbers. Her free throw percentage, which is something that we want getting better because the free throw percentages on the Fever this season have not been good, including Caitlin Clark. But her free throw percentage is 84%, so that's pretty solid. But she was waived by the Los Angeles Sparks early in May. I think it was like right before the season started, because last season the Los Angeles Sparks brought in Odyssey Sims on a hardship contract, and Odyssey Sims had been bouncing around a little bit on hardship contracts previous to the Sparks. Odyssey was on the wings, and when she went over to the Sparks, she actually did really well, and they ended up keeping her and bringing her back this season. And I guess she was doing a little bit better than Aari, so they ended up keeping Odyssey Sims, who they brought in on a hardship contract, over Aari McDonald. And is this someone that, you want on the Indiana Fever, like long term? Definitely not right now. I mean, we'll see what her performance is and how she does, but like for right now, the Indiana Fever are in dire straits. And I think that just like realizing like the importance of playmaking and the lack of playmaking that was felt in Caitlin Clark's absence, I think that they're definitely trying to go for somebody with some of that like some ball handling, like sharing the ball, like bolstering the backcourt. And it is true that she's small. She is how tall is she? Yeah, she is 5'6". That's pretty small. And her combined with Kelsey Mitchell, they're going to be a really small backcourt. But again, I want to like reiterate the dire straits that the Indiana Fever are in. And I do also want to say that Aari McDonald had some pretty good games last season with the Los Angeles Sparks. I was pretty impressed with at least 2 of her games I remember. And I think that if she can just like relegate Kelsey Mitchell back to her natural position at shooting guard at the 2 and take any of the ball handling pressure off of Kelsey Mitchell, that will help the Indiana Fever at least in this like short stretch where they're lacking guards. I think one of the things that I like about this signing is that her she takes a decent amount of threes per game. Now she is slightly below league average at 31%. Like league average, I think, is like 33%. But the fact that she takes more threes is something that the Fever definitely need to be doing because they really weren't taking a lot of threes in the last game. I mean, the Indiana Fever don't even rank in the top 8 teams for 3 points made. As a matter of fact, the Seattle Storm is kind of known for not having like replaced their lack of 3-point shooting, and the Seattle Storm are above them in 3-point shooting, as are the Connecticut Sun, I mean, the Golden State Valkyries, like all they do is chuck up threes, and the Golden State Valkyries are at 26% at the three, and they are ranked above the Indiana Fever, who just like really aren't taking many this season. I mean, the thing is like when you look at the top teams who have the best 3-point percentage, obviously is the New York Liberty. I mean, especially after the game like last night where they absolutely like manhandled the Connecticut Sun. It was really that was a crazy blowout. But in second place is the Minnesota Lynx. So it's pretty obvious that 3-pointers matter. And yes, the Indiana Fever kind of let go of getting Aaliyah Boston touches in a couple of the games with Caitlin Clark out. But I think, again, I mentioned this before, but I think that they got Aaliyah Boston touches in the Connecticut game, but they like sacrificed their 3-point shot because Sid Colson, she was the starting point guard. She cannot shoot threes. Like she does not shoot them at a high clip. Now, Sophie Cunningham, she can make threes, but she did not sink any threes in the game before. Even though she can sink them, she ended up going out with injury in the last game. Aaliyah Boston, not a 3-point shooter. Kelsey Mitchell in a crazy slump. Dwana Bonner is coming out of her shooting slump, but she is not like the highest efficiency, like league-wise, like 3-point shooter yet. Natasha Howard, not a big 3-point shooter. Bree Turner, I mean, she can't shoot anything. Damiris Dantas, she has not had a lot of minutes, and I don't think she has like heated up yet. Lexi Hull, I mean, Lexi Hull just needs to take more threes. She's been doing a great job. Like, I really love her performance this season. She has been such a bright spot in some of the darkness that the Indiana Fever are treading through right now. So even though Aari McDonald is 5'6", she does shoot up those threes, and she does make them at an effective clip. Now, Aari she has been waived, so she did not belong to a team. So she is going to want to prove herself playing for the Indiana Fever. And I don't know, like, I mean, this is just the way the game goes, but she's probably going to be gunning for Sid's spot. And Sid, it's been difficult to watch Sid in games. Like, I don't exactly understand why she was in the Washington Mystics game for so many minutes. But in the first few minutes of the Connecticut Sun game, I was happy with what Sid was doing. She's there to move the ball around. She's there to set the pace. She was disrupting plays, and so there were adjustments made that I saw her doing in the game previous in the Washington Mystics game that she had adjusted in the Connecticut game that I was liking. But Aari's going to be showing like as much as she can of what she can do, and she will be coming to a new team and like playing in a new system. So she doesn't have like an upper hand per se, but her hunger and her drive to make a roster right now is undoubtedly high. And let me just explain the contract that the Indiana Fever brought her in on, because in the last video I was talking about the basic hardship contract, and this is an emergency hardship contract. And basically an emergency hardship contract can be executed immediately for any team that has under 10 healthy players available. And with Sid Colson, Caitlin Clark, and Sophie Cunningham out, the Indiana Fever only have 8 healthy players on the roster. So how does this affect the Indiana Fever's cap space? Because the Indiana Fever had about $43K left, which would enable them to bring in a player mid-season to fill out what is currently an 11-player roster to a 12-player roster. And signing Aari McDonald, she signed for $51K, but she is actually only $497 a day. This is according to Richard Cohen, who Chloe Peterson has also been reposting, because Chloe Peterson was responding to someone who had asked, if she does well, when is it we have cap space to sign a 12th player? And Chloe Peterson had responded, it was late June, but adding McDonald at this point will take away some of the limited cap space the Fever have. And she was saying, as per Richard Cohen, depending on how long she's on the roster on a hardship, Indiana may not be able to add a full-fledged 12th player this season. But then Richard Cohen responded to Chloe Peterson saying, and this, is something he knows a lot about, and he says, just to make clear, hardships can allow teams to go over the cap, but money you pay them then counts on the cap. So if a team is hoping to use the remaining cap space to add a 12th player in the season, that space dwindles every day you have a hardship player signed. And again, I will reiterate that, and as per Richard Cohen here, they should be fine. The Fever have over 43K in cap space. McDonald signed for 51K, but only actually costs about $497 a day. So she pushes the 12th player option a bit later, but very unlikely to negate it completely. And there was some footage of the team practicing yesterday, and the Indiana Fever were showing that Sid Colson was kind of like getting shots up. So it looks like she's not hurt too bad. Like, it wasn't an ACL, it wasn't an Achilles, like, which, you know, those were the worst case scenarios. Sophie Cunningham was also walking around. She wasn't wearing a boot, so that's also like a good sign. But I seriously doubt Sophie Cunningham would be good enough to play in the next game, because it looks like she kind of re-injured her previous ankle injury, which could go two ways. It could be really bad, or it could just be like a minor sprain. But because she is not wearing a boot, I think this is a good sign that Sophie Cunningham will be able to return in a fairly short time frame. As far as like Caitlin Clark's injury, they are supposed to reevaluate it, and I think that will probably come maybe after the Chicago Sky game. You know, Caitlin, she looks to be doing pretty well. She's carrying babies. She's, you know, shooting threes. But I know that they want to be really safe when bringing Caitlin Clark back, because a healthy Caitlin Clark is definitely like better in the long run. But hopefully with bringing Aari in, she can do some facilitating. She can get off maybe like a 3-point shot. She can pass the ball to maybe, I want to see Lexi Hull spotting up. I want to see Lexi Hull at the wing and shooting those threes that I know she can shoot. I want to see Kelsey Mitchell get back into form, and I want to see Dewana Bonner continue getting out of her slump, because she was doing really good in the last game, and the Indiana Fever will be playing the Washington Mystics, running it back with the Washington Mystics again tomorrow. So we will get to see how the emergency hardship contract signing of Aari McDonald starts looking then. And, you know, just to leave it on kind of like a funny note, you guys might remember Aari McDonald from not remembering to take her second free throw because she was so consumed with guarding Caitlin Clark here. So yeah, that was pretty funny. She actually was at the line. She was supposed to take 2 free throws and totally forgot because she was so preoccupied with, making sure Caitlin Clark was guarded. But it will be interesting to see how the Indiana Fever are faring with all these injuries after signing Aari McDonald.